Okay, so let's talk about AI agents. So firstly, what do you have to understand the difference between the large language models and the AI agents that everyone's keeps talking about. So what large language models does is when a user sends a prompt or a question or anything to the large language model, it gives back a response in text. So uh, you just get you just send something to the LLM as text and you get something back as text. So you can just, talk with an LLM and get all sorts of ideas, but it's just limited to like talking to the LLM and getting information. However, the difference between the large language model and the agent system is that agents can actually perform actions. So when the user sends a specific, a request, like to do something, the agents can actually, talk to a large language model and then perform an action. So that's the key difference between the LLM and the agent. So this video, I will just go a bit deeper into the the concepts on what constitutes an AI agent. So I'll not go into the code because that requires a separate video of its own. So that's why I will just go through what consists of an AI agent and what are they made up of. So let's start with that. So firstly, we can very briefly summarize the constituents of an AI agent into five parts. So number one being the environment. So with an example to our daily lives, if you think yourself or me in this video as an agent, the environment surrounding me is the environment of an agent. For example, I have my phone here. This is a part of the environment. I have my mouse here. This is the part of my environment. This is what I interact with. And according to our example, environment are those things, those API gateways, or the files or the browser the agent can interact with. So this is what the environment part of an agent is. So number two is perception. Or we can also think of it as the input to the agents. Perception, according to our example, is what I can see or hear. For example, if my wife tells me to do something like take out the trash or help her in a specific house chore, so I'm listening to my wife because she's telling me and it's coming to my ear as input, and I can understand what he's saying. So anything that I can get as input is called the perception in humans. As it's the similar in agents, is that these can be thought of as text input, or anything tool input or system input, any kind of input that you can you tell the agents to do. So that can be thought of as perception, what the agent sees and hears as input. So after hearing the input, what we do is we think about the task that is given to us. So that thought or that reasoning process is actually done by an LLM, or we can specify it as the brain of the agent. So this is where the reasoning and the logical reasoning of the perception is being given. So this has the reasoning engine, the it can have also the planning and all sorts of cognitive activity which is needed for the agent to decide what kind of tools and everything that it should use. So it is done in this specific part of the agent. Number four is an important part, which is the memory of the agent. So the agent, when we are defining an agent in a system, we should always have it should always have some kind of memory of the user. The memory can be when you're starting, the memory can be blank, but it or on time the memory should add up. and then it can use the memory to do like a specific task. For example, in our example of taking out the trash, when my wife tells me to take out the trash, I have to like think about it and then know where the trash is, or did I actually did it like did I do it already, or it needs to be done, which trash to take out. These kind of like things comes from memory. So the memory has all of the information, and I'm using the brain, the LLM in our example, to actually like sort through the memories to understand like how to perform the said action. The agent can think like this. So a memory, again, an important part of the agent. And finally, the fifth part we can think about is are the actions. So this is what, as like discussed before, this is the part that which separates the uh, AI agents from LLM, is that they are able to take actions. How they are able to take actions are they use what we call tools. So tools, like in our example, a tool can be my hand. I use my hands to like I use my hands to take out the trash. I use my legs to move from point A to point B. So these are my tools. So LLMs and sorry, and agents can have like tools, because if you ask like um, a calculator agent, so to calculate something, it would use a calculator tool which is actually scripted in its tooling. Like the agent, any kind of agent that you are designing should have a list of tools that it can use. Without that tool, the agent cannot process, because if you ask an agent to book an Airbnb in a specific location, if you don't provide the tooling uh, to if you don't provide the tooling to the agent that the agent can use to actually like go to the Airbnb website and use their API to then search for the listings and then book it. So if you don't give it the tools, it will not be able to perform. So whatever agent that you are planning to make, always give it the tools, necessary tools, for it to like use, because without the tools the agent is practically useless. You're just back with an LLM which can like respond to your queries rather than actually doing anything. So I I hope like the basic concept is clear for how an agent is like made up of. In the next video we will actually like go into more in depth about what an MCP server is and how like AI agents are actually like using these tools. And in the future videos we will of course be creating these tools ourselves, so that you can like have a more in-depth idea about how AI agents are working in Python um, for the future. So I hope like that is it, and it's clear how AI agents work. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.